Good afternoon, Sir Carmelito Barbarona. So, I am J.R. Migatuan from Section Betelgeuse, BSMT 2. And for this video, I'm going to explain the the chapter 3, 4, and 5, which is chapter 3 is from Engine Department, chapter 4 is for the radio communication and radio personnel, and chapter 5 is special training requirements for personnel on certain types of ships. So first, uh, chapter 3. So what is chapter 3? Chapter 3 is from engine department. So chapter 3 of the STCW of Annex is associated sections of the STCW code that are devoted to the requirements for the officers and ratings who serve in the engine department, and or those who perform functions relating to marine engineering, which are the electrical, electronics, and control engineering, and for the maintenance and repair. And for the last is for those who controlling the operation of the ship and care for persons on board. This chapter mirrors the structure of the chapter 2. The first regulation focused on the officers in charge of the watch and the operational level of responsibility of the marine or the operations, and the second and the third regulation focus on the uh, level of or focus of the chief engineer and the second engineer officer, and manage a level of responsibility, and the fourth regulation concerns the rating who is part of the watch at the support level. And for chapter 4, which is the radio communication and radio personnel. So chapter 4 is chapter 4 of the STCW Annex are associated sections of the STCW code and address qualifications for radio operators and those who perform radio duties on seagoing ships relating to the functions of radio communications. So these requirements of the regulations are required for global maritime distress and safety system or GMDSS under SOLAS chapter 4. So radio personnel on ships are not required to comply with the SOLAS provisions on GMDSS, are not required to meet provisions of chapter 4 of STCW. This personnel, however, must comply with the relevant requirements of the International Telegraphic Union or the ITU. Radio regulation to the international as annexed to the International Telecommunication Convention. So the chapter 5, which is the special training requirements for personnel on certain types of ships. So chapter 5 of the STCW Annex and the associated sections of the STCW Code address qualification for personnel on tankers and personnel on ro-ro passenger ships. So chapter 5 is all about passenger. So requirements or certain types of ship. So under this regulation, certificates must be issued in respect to two levels of training for three types of tankers. So officers and ratings who are assigned specific duties and responsibilities related to cargo and cargo equipment on tankers must complete approved shore base for firefighting course, receive basic safety training as required under Regulation 4 of Chapter 6, Regulation 6 of Chapter 6, and discuss and complete at least 3 months of approved seagoing service on tankers in order to acquire knowledge of safe tanker familiarization course covering the syllabus given in section dash 5I slash I of the STCW code. So masters, chief mates, chief engineers, officers, and chief engineering officers, and second engineer officer, as well as any person who has immediate or supervisory responsibility for loading, discharging, and care in transit or holding of cargo must, in addition, the requirements identified in the previous paragraph, has experience on the particular type of tanker on which they deserve approved specialized the training program covering the subjects listed in section A-5/I of the STCW code for the type of tanker concerned. So that was all about for the chapter 5. So the chapter 4 is not the number 3. The chapter 3, the engine department, which are this regulation requires that everyone who serve as an officers in charge of an engineering room or engineering watch in man engine room or a designated duty engineer and periodically um, powered by main propulsion machinery in 750 kilowatts propulsion power or more must hold an appropriate certificate. So they will handle a ship for the operation. And the second requirements of the candidate must meet a required certificate for service in the capacity, including age limit for and minimum periods of seagoing service. The candidate must also complete approved education and training and meet standard of the competence and other requirements of section A dash 3/1 of the SCC code. So that was all about for the chapter 3 for the regulations. And for the regulation 4, this regulations requires that everyone who is placed in charge of or who performs radio duties on a ship required to participate in GMDSS must hold an appropriate certificate. The ITU radio regulation certificate must be suited to the area of operation and incorporate knowledge required by the STCW convention. Uh, and the ship to shore the communication for search and rescue purposes and for access of the access to maritime meteorological warnings. For regulation 4/16 of SOLAS provides that every ship shall carry personnel qualified for distress and safety radio personnel. So that's all for this video, sir. I hope you really understand my explanation. Thank you.